What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Top 5 or Worst 5 in this particular circumstance. Nerd Rage Radio. I have Uncle Dolphin.
What's up?
I have Chris Pinkerton, if you're nasty.
Party people.
So, today we are going to do worst 5 superheroes
Trash.
of all time.
That's known. That's
trash.
well known.
Correct.
And there's no stipulation on why is worse, just whatever.
You are more than welcome to disagree with us and post your answers in the comments. Just know that we think your answers have no merit and no purpose and no value, and we only focus on pretty much mine, all of us, but mainly mine.
Mostly Bobby's.
Opinion on the matter.
Are you at this table? That's the question.
We're just here to make this video a little bit longer. That's the only reason me and Joe are here.
We're going to go 5 to 1, with 1 being the worst superhero of all time. We went Joe last time. This time we're going to go Chris.
Oh, man, I'm going to start out with a classic from the 90s when Marvel would make anything into a superhero. That's right. It's the NFL crossover superhero Super Pro. I actually have issue number 1 at home.
Oh, God.
I can't.
Hold on to it. Just play the long game on it.
So there's people old enough to be president that were born after this book came out, and I'm playing the I'm going to play the super long game.
Do you know anything about his powers or anything?
No. He's wearing a football costume. Bobby's going to put a picture right here. Challenge.
Yeah,
right here.
And I might even put a little Wikipedia screenshot so that you can see if he has any sort of powers that assisted him in his game.
All of mine are superpowers. Number 5 is just the Hulk. I find him to be stupid.
Well, he is stupid.
I mean, just in general, like he's ugly and green and big.
So wait, you want your superheroes to be sexy, all of them? So I think this comes from an anime bias where even the men are pretty.
Maybe? I don't know. All Might is not pretty. All Might is an ugly man.
Albright?
Madeline Albright.
He's uninteresting. His power set is basic.
Let me tell you why he's great. He's great because when you are 13 and you are angry at the world and people are picking on you, you see this character that when people pick on him, he can turn into this rage monster and destroy everything in his path. That's what makes him great. The problem is, and I agree with you, but the problem is once you turn 27, then you're like, I can either fight or don't want to fight on my own accord, and I can sort of just get through my day and shuffle my papers at FedEx.
And then he's like classified as a superhero, but he's always a liability.
So that's a good point from a in-universe perspective. It's the liability aspect. That's a good point. So, gentlemen, my number 5.
Let's hear it.
Now, you will, of course, admit that when it comes to superheroes, what's important? Powers. Powers are the most important.
Yeah.
2, let's be honest, the look.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Your suit, if your suit is cool, if it's not cool. Number 3, let's have a little bit of honesty. Haircut. Your haircut matters. Which is why Guy Gardner is the 5th dumbest superhero of all time. Because even though he has a Green Lantern ring, his haircut is so dumb that I had to put him on the list, and he's a prick on top of it. So that's the thing, right? Like if you are ugly, or if you have a dumb haircut, or if you have no sense of style or no sense to make yourself like your way in the world, at least come through with some sort of personality that makes people like you, right? With Guy Gardner, it's like, make it up with some sort of personality so you can just make your way through the world. You're not being fair to yourself.
Wow.
I think that's fair.
Thank you, Joe. I knew you would be on my side with this one because you hate humanity. Chris, number 4.
So, Bobby, there's only one way to top the rant you just had.
Tell me.
That's by telling you my number 4 is a guy with a redhead haircut named Guy Gardner that I don't know about.
When it comes to Green Lantern, you can argue all day about who's cooler, Hal or John.
Those are the only two people bring up.
Right, and both people on both sides of that argument are going to be cool. And every once in a while, you'll get a doof that comes through and wants to say that Kyle is the coolest Green Lantern. And you know what?
Kyle.
Pull a seat up to the table. Let's have the conversation. But nobody ever mentions Guy Gardner in that conversation ever. So I agree, and I applaud you, sir, for him being further up your list than mine.
Thank you.
Joseph, number 4.
Wolverine, way overrated.
Oh, so now you're looking for the troll.
Ugly, stupid haircut.
So once again, are you Are you Joe Kardashian?
Joe Kardashian.
Okay,
if you play off the what Bobby said, then he's ugly. He's a
What does he do?
From a comic perspective, I like him for the same reason I like the bad kids of Pinocchio, that they drink and smoke all the time and then try to do some good every once in a while.
Badass.
Yeah. So like that's why I like him.
In all honesty, I like him. I just find him to be one of the worst because he's so overrated. Like
he is
another one of those people you love as a 13-year-old and as a 27-year-old you're like,
So it's an interesting perspective, right? Because what happens is you end up placing bad over merit. Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right.
That's a great way to put it.
They don't jive. Like how he is portrayed as and what he does.
That is an interesting perspective. I'll give that to you. My number 4 is Hawkeye. And the reason why Hawkeye is my number 4 is because he is a guy with a bow and arrow. Some would argue that Green Arrow was perhaps before him, and he too is stupid. But he also has a more interesting backstory. There's also, of course, Robin Hood, who robbed from the rich and gave to the poor, and had this dude. There's literally nothing interesting about him other than he has a bow and an arrow, and he's on a team of giants that can do all sorts of stupid.
Is he supposed to be good looking with a good personality though?
Who can tell with this?
Yeah.
With this? In the movie, they were even like, you know what? Just leave the mask off him.
Yeah, just leave it off.
Just leave it off.
Make him look even more vulnerable. Well, Bobby, listen, there's only one way to top what you said about Hawkeye, and that's to make my number 3 Hawkeye.
Great minds.
It's a guy with a bow and arrow. The Matt Fraction books are great, but outside of that, he's not a superhero. That comic book's about a dude.
Number 3, Hawkeye.
All right.
We're talking about powers, right?
And we did not
start
discuss this at
no,
all.
We did not. We never do. That's what makes it fun. No powers, right? I mean, I liked him enough in the movies.
Yeah.
That he's interesting enough in the movies.
He's better in the
right?
movies.
But just in general, I never cared for him. If he was by himself in his own world doing his own thing, cool.
Yeah.
With the Hulk and Thor and Iron Man and
Yeah.
why? Why
Yeah.
are you there?
I want to kind of break this down to a more human level for number 3.
Oh, boy.
Have you ever been a fan of a musician or an actor or an athlete, and you kind of like their aesthetic, and you pick up a couple shows, you pick up a couple performances, you kind of like what they do, and then all of a sudden you see something that is just so incredibly stupid that you can't untake the taint off of them. She-Hulk is the third worst superhero of all time. And let me tell you something. I feel a way about you if you think that show is good.
And with the caveat, if you enjoy the show, but accept it as awful, that's okay.
That's okay. If you're like, I love terrible things, and therefore she's one of my favorites. I'm like, perfect.
All right, my number 2, and I don't know anything about the character. I think it's dumb. It's Squirrel Girl.
Because that's the thing, is like what's interesting about her is how awful she is. She's like the Jar Jar Binks of the Marvel Universe. She just sort of blunders her way about and ends up like passing the Boomba Dumba Dumba into the tank to make it fall down. You know what I mean?
But I think people love her unironically. I think
that's true.
There's a lot of people who are fans who are unironically.
So now, Joe, if you want to talk about hating somebody because of their fans, that's a whole different story, but I'm ready to go there. Like, what makes her kind of fun in the Marvel Universe is how awful she is.
Yeah.
But to pretend that she's something great because she accidentally blunders her way through victory is ridiculous.
Sure.
Number 2, Joseph.
With all due respect.
Oh, here we go. I'm getting ready to fight him. I can tell.
Yeah.
Superman.
See,
let me finish.
yeah.
I actually enjoy Superman. I find him to be the worst superhero because of what he does for the world and the story, which is uninteresting. He's like,
so this is where we're getting ready to disagree.
To me, because I'm not well versed in DC, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
all
yeah.
the most interesting Superman stories are usually alternative versions of him, where it's like he's not.
So that's not
best self.
so that's not entirely true, but I don't think that I don't take your point, because I do.
All the like Red Sun or like Mortal Kombat,
even Hush,
because him as himself being his best self is too damn good for the world.
It's true
in the best way.
But what makes that aspect for me interesting, right, is like this is a dude who actually has relatively unlimited power, and he makes a choice to serve rather than to
and
rule.
I love that about him.
And that's what makes him interesting.
Like I said, I've learned to respect and enjoy that character.
Because
I love that about him, but like for storytelling wise.
But it comes down to like nature versus nurture, right? That's what captivates me about him. You know, where I'm like, man, like, am I doing this, you know, because I can? Or am I doing this because I think it's the right thing to do?
Yeah, the conscious choice.
You know, my number 2, there are many cool powers out there, Joe. There are powers where you can shoot laser beams out of your head.
Yep.
There are powers where you can pick up anything and just charge it with energy. But if I had to pick one power I would never want, is just me to just stretch like a dumb.
He was a contender.
Yeah, he was on my short list.
My choice
Which one?
is Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
And the name sucks.
So look, you're a nerd. All you can do is make yourself look stupid.
Stupider.
Right? And then you make artists try to incorporate you into a cover that makes you look interesting, but you always look like the doof.
And your toys always
And you're
suck.
not even a good husband?
Bro. Dude, that kind of, I didn't even think about that part.
You can't get anything right.
The only reason I didn't put him on the list was because of he does contribute. He has contributions
For
to the
sure.
world because he's so smart, right?
For sure.
That's
For
the only
sure.
reason he kept them off this list.
For sure. Had he look, Mr. Fantastic that takes care of Mrs. Invisible, I'm good with. But the fact that he can't even keep home
Yeah,
straight,
bro.
I would slide right up in her DMs if I was
see her?
if I was in New York in the Marvel Universe 616, I would be like, hey, look, you need somebody. Maybe I can't stretch, but maybe I can just be me. You have a man that can change, you know, his shape. But how can I ever change if you won't let me grow? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If I spit that to her, Chris?
maybe. Maybe.
She's been neglected for so long that she might work.
Numero uno, and I got in a little bit of the minutia here. This is a very specific version of this character, but I'm going with Danny Rand from the Netflix show Iron Fist
God.
I'm not
as
mad
my
at you.
number 1
Bro.
trash superhero.
So-
That made me stop watching all the Netflix shows.
You rewind the clocks. How many She-Hulk episodes are out?
I think the 5th one or the 6th one, maybe. I don't know.
Rewind the clock
By now.
7 weeks, to be fair, I would applaud you. But
Okay.
now I have a different enemy that I'm putting my sights on.
I see.
But I understand.
But that
perspective.
one stuck out to me.
hair is
the
part
most.
of it, isn't it?
It's the hair.
Guy
It's,
Gardner again.
Talking about
Yeah.
hair and looks again.
it's the
As
acting.
a bald man, Joe, I look at people with hair as privileged, and I want them to be able to take care of it properly.
That's
have a
correct.
good aesthetic look.
That's correct. They made him so doofy in that show. Like, I
his
mean,
power suck, his personality sucked, the stories sucked.
yeah, he just always seemed to be in total disarray with everything.
Yeah.
Ugh, awful.
I don't remember much of this. I wiped it as much as I could.
Joe, numero uno.
With no respect at all, Batman.
Oh, I knew it.
I don't like Batman, especially as a superhero. I find him uninteresting. He's he's a privileged rich kid who like to beat up on poor downtrodden people for fun and don't actually help with anything.
I could see that point of view.
Dude, he could do so much more to actually be good for the world, and he just dress up as
He's
a
too-
bat and beat people up at night.
that's fair.
I'm putting like the superhero part of this question.
I think it's a fair question to ask whether or not Batman is a superhero.
That's
I
why.
agree.
That's why I didn't put like Deadpool in there or anything, because like
No,
some
no.
quote-unquote
That's-
anti-heroes or
Yep, yep, yep.
villains.
I would like.
But because Batman's considered a superhero, I consider him a really bad superhero.
I would think. I think if I had to, in a moment of drunkenness, if I had to state where he was, I would say that he was playing Twister. The left foot is on hero. The right foot is on anti-hero, but superhero, he can't even reach it.
Also, no powers.
No powers. Yeah. I will say this. My number 1, what I would never do is hire a young girl that can throw fireworks at people's eyes.
God.
And that's why Jubilee is my
wow.
number 1 worst superhero. But the thing about Jubilee is the only thing that makes Jubilee cool is her relationship to Wolverine.
Yes.
So like you have a character that you're just including in, and the only reason why you're including it in is because it makes the cool one more interesting. And that's why she's my worst superhero of all time. Look, if you disagree, please let us know what your list is. We won't pay any attention to it. Secondly, if you want more from us, please check out Nerd Rage Radio, where we go even further into nonsense on a weekly basis
And
on your
deeper.
favorite podcast platforms.
I give you more things to hate about.
If you want more Joe KW, you can find him on his own Twitch. Shout it out, Joe.
Cyphers 54. But find me on my wife's, man. Much more interesting.
Find him on all of them. And then for Christopher, you can find him at Crashbox Custom, as well as Enter the Realm of Collectors group and podcast. Check them out as well. Till next time.
Peace.